Hi, Betsy. Welcome to the Power Talk show powered by Business Talks Weekly. Thank you for joining our channel today and accepting our invitation. So, before we start the conversation, can you tell us a bit about your professional background and what led you into real estate industry?
Sure. So I've been in the real estate industry for 20 years. Prior to that, I was in the pharmaceutical industry for 10. And I just had several life events, a big move, a corporate layoff, a divorce that kind of made me reevaluate where I was going and had always loved real estate and thought it would be an industry that I would really thrive in because I really loved housing, construction, helping families find homes because a home is so much more than just a house. So, just kind of stuck my foot in the toe in the water and took the real estate license class. And then really from there just grew. I was a realtor, then or a sales associate, then a broker. And then a couple of years after that, I started opening up other verticals. So I've got title and I had mortgage, a real estate school, property management, and now a nonprofit as well. So I just love all things about real estate. And so just continue to seek opportunities to serve our customers, our current customers in new ways.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, real estate is a very competitive space. And, so how do you differentiate yourself, Betsy, in this saturated market?
It is. And I don't know if it's like this in Dubai, but in the US, it is very saturated. In our small town, or we have a mid sized town, we probably have over 1,600 licensed agents. But 80% of real estate is transacted by about 20% of the agents. It's that 80-20 rule. And so I always tell people who are asking me, should I get in? Are there too many realtors already? And it's there aren't too many realtors if you want to make a living out of it. I think a lot of the people that are licensed, they do it, they dabble in it. They might buy a house for themselves, buy a house for a friend, maybe invest in some properties, or just kind of go at it half-heartedly, which is fine. It's a great career for that. But those of us that are trying to make a living out of it, I think you'll find that if you work it like a real business, you will thrive.
Betsy, can you tell us a bit about what goes into your hiring process? Like, because I have two parts to this question, okay? What goes into a hiring process and how do you make them stay? Because I am aware that many agents tend to leave and then start their own business. How does it work with you?
Yeah. So yes, there's a joke that it's in the real estate industry, it's like a revolving door. And it's not so much, I would say more people leave not to go to other companies, but they leave the industry. 80% in the US, 80% of people who get licensed are not in the business 2 years later. So that's huge. But the average agent only stays at a brokerage for 4 years. So you're constantly having to recruit. And they may be going for, oftentimes, it's usually not to open up their own business, it's usually to go to a different company. And a lot of times agents chase higher and higher commission splits. So that's a big thing. And you have to decide early on as a broker, is that going to be your point of differentiation? I hope not, because then everybody can copy you. You're a commodity and it's a race to the bottom. So we really thrive on our culture. Our support for our agents is incredible. There are models where it's very different than ours, where you really are flying solo. You don't even know your broker. Your broker may not even live in your state. You may not even know their name. We're the exact opposite. We still have a home base. We have an office. We have staff there every day supporting the agents. We have trainings every day. So we're really kind of the opposite of the cloud-based model that has become quite popular, but there's still a need for people who really want to see somebody eyeball to eyeball, especially when they're learning. That to me, from in terms of the agent's perspective, that's our biggest point of differentiation is the service that we provide our agents.
Wonderful. And what about your investors or customers? How do you build a long-term relationship so that they keep coming back to you?
Yeah. So I tell our agents, a lot of people think we're in the sales business and everybody's in the sales business, right?
Yeah.
But we don't sell houses. And that's what people misunderstand. We sell ourselves so that when somebody or their friends or family are in a position to buy or sell real estate, they will think of us. So we take a very long-term view and perspective on our interactions. And I will tell agents and I will tell customers, we don't care if you buy or sell from us. Our only goal is to establish trust. If we establish trust with you, you will feel compelled to share us with your friends and family when they have a real estate need. So that takes all the pressure off of the agents and the end of the customer. We're not trying to make them sign anything or work with us right now. We're just trying to establish a rapport and that turns into a long-term relationship. So that's how we treat our customers. I tell my agents every day, you have to treat people as though that was your father, your mother, your aunt, your uncle. Any advice you're giving to them, pretend that's a family member sitting across the table and make sure that, so what you're saying is absolutely what you believe to be the best thing for them.
Absolutely. So, Betsy, can you tell me what is the current market shift or trend you are seeing in both residential as well as commercial space?
Yeah. So we do primarily residential. We do a little bit of commercial for our residential clients. In the US, we're definitely going through a transition. High interest rates, relatively high. I mean, historically, no. Historically, they're still good. Recent, recent norms are much lower, and so people remember the most recent, what's most
Yeah.
recent, and so they're 2 or 3% interest rates that were common years ago, a couple years ago, but now not so common. But what's nice, I feel like this year, especially 2025, we're seeing a shift. The buyers understand now we're not going back to those rates. So they are getting off of the fence. Not as much as we had hoped, but some buyers are. So they understand that we're kind of resetting the new norm. But they're still like right now, they're still on the fence waiting for for the feds to announce another reduction. Whether that happens or not, we're waiting to see. It's not going to be a big one, even if we do see it. We still, interestingly, have low inventories across the nation, but prices are stagnating in some areas and they're still appreciating in some areas, even though sales are very low. So it's a very interesting combination of, normally when inventory is high, prices are plummeting. It's not like that. In fact, the average sale price in the US is still anticipated to be about 2 to 3% this year nationally, rising. The rate of acceleration has drastically slowed down. Still a great investment. Next year is supposed to be as well. We're still supposed to see overall a price increase, average prices to increase. But the number of sales has really slowed down. And fortunately, sale prices are staying for brokerages, the sales prices are staying high. So as a broker, we're not taking as much of a hit, even though transaction volume's down, sales are keeping dollars, up.
Understood. So, Betsy, there's been so much work going on in prop tech space and technology advancements. There is tokenization coming into play. How do you see affecting the industry?
Yeah, I mean, AI is huge. I have a fractional AI person that's on my staff. I mean, they're fractional, but we're constantly feeding him projects. I go up to a meeting every quarter to get the latest updates on AI. It's absolutely going to change our industry, but I don't believe, you know, it was kind of like the computers years ago, right? And the internet, and everyone thinks their jobs are at risk. And I'm telling you, a lot of jobs in industries are, and I could be incredibly naive, but I do believe because real estate, the purchase and sale of real estate is generally somebody's highest purchase, most, the most dollars, I think they still like to know there's a human on the other end of the transaction. So while certain functions that we do are going to be replaced by AI, and we absolutely have to be very well adept using AI, I don't feel like the role of the agent is going to be replaced by AI, at least, and not in the next 5 years. But
Understood.
absolutely, it's gonna change. I mean, it's already changed our marketing. We were using some AI in the past. We're now converting all to virtual and really reduced our costs in that way because of AI tools that we can use. We're using AI to automate a lot of our systems and processes that were requiring a lot of manual labor in terms of data entry and analysis. We're using AI in the arts in terms of spaces and virtual staging and not having to use a virtual staging platform, but doing it ourselves in house. So it's really changing a lot of the fundamentals of how we work.
Let's see, post COVID and these 5 years with tariff changes and economical slowdown, and there's been news of global war. What changes have you seen in investor behavior?
Well, I mean, actually, when Trump announced the tariffs earlier this year, we had so many people pull their contracts out. We were under contract, inspections were done, and they're like, "Nope, I'm not doing. I'm too much uncertainty."
Yeah.
That has subsided. I think what's keeping investors back now more than anything is not so much that, but the prices. Prices are pretty high. So to make the numbers work, it's usually something that's in distress, a
Yeah.
hardship that the owner's going through. And so the investment's going for pennies on the dollar.
Understood. Coming back to you, Betsy, like you are an entrepreneur, you are a coach, and you wear multiple hats. How do you balance all?
So I think the biggest key for me is I am so intentional with my day. I mean, every minute. And it's not that it's not fun, but it is very intentional. And so I don't waste time on things that are not consistent with my values. And so I haven't watched TV in years. Like, that's not a part of my life. It's not a value. I'm not going to regret never watching TV. Now, I don't even watch the news, which does put me in some awkward situations when people ask me some questions I only hear about the big things. But for me, I look at the cost benefit of that and what it does to my health and time, and it's not worth it to me. So I make trade-offs every day. And as a result, I'm just incredibly focused and intentional about the time that I spend on the things that I do and the people that I'm with.
So, Betsy, can you tell me, like, what are you working on for the next 3 to 5 years? What is your vision, and what is the
Mm.
most exciting thing that you're working on?
Yeah, you've caught me between I'm like kind of on a bridge. I've been focused the last 20 years just building different verticals. And then the last 2 years, I was focused on writing a book, then publishing it, and then developing a course that goes with the book, and then speaking about the book. So now I'm at a point where the course is launching this month. I will be focused on that. I am thinking of a second book that is a follow up to the first book. And then my next big thing, I want to be in collaboration. Everything I've done to date has been solo. And I don't want to have like a buy into a franchise or anything like that, but I want to have a business collaborations with people, even not so much even in my industry, but kind of getting outside of real estate and getting into more general business collaborations with colleagues.
Understood. One final question. I'll break this into two parts. What is your advice to upcoming real estate agents? And
Mhm.
what would be your advice to an investor in this current market?
So for real estate agents, I would get a mentor. Mentors and coaches. I did that later and I still have both, but I wish I had done it from day one. So regardless of where you are in your journey, there's always people ahead of you that are willing to help you, paid through coaching, unpaid through mentorship, but absolutely I would have those roles filled in my life. In terms of investor, I would absolutely, and a lot of investors do this, but network with the top agents in your area or in areas you want to invest in, and make sure, we all have we offer this instant offer program, which is designed for sellers, homeowners that are in a bind. They got to get out quickly. They need cash. They've got to get out quickly. They value convenience over price. Every market has those realtors who know those opportunities. And so make sure that you're on their hot list. So anytime they're exposed to one of those opportunities, you get the call.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you so much, Betsy, for your time today. It was a
Well,
wonderful
you're
conversation.
welcome. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
thank you.